Hello. Again, this is Walter Davis. I'm coming to you again from the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church Economic Empowerment Ministry. And as usual, Pastor Jones has asked that we update you on the latest information as it relates to the economy and opportunities that are out there to serve your best interests. First of all, April the 9th, Federal Reserve announced a $2.3 trillion program. And I'll tell you why that's important. Here are a few items that are in that $2.3 trillion program. First of all, they have agreed to loan money to municipalities, states, and counties of a certain size to be able to make it through this tough crisis because they know that tax income is going to be lower. And so there will be some entities out there that will need to use what's called the Municipal Liquidity Facility. Why is that important for you to know? Well, we need our governments, state, local, and federal, to be strong because there are a disproportionate amount of African Americans employed, both at the municipal and state level, as it relates to our government. And so we need to make sure that these entities have everything they need to keep running on a daily basis and making certain that we don't get into a situation where we have mass layoffs there, because again, we'll be disproportionately affected. So it's important to you know and understand and be able to talk to your elected leaders about them doing everything they can to make sure budgets are balanced and that they have enough liquidity to be able to continue with the operations of government. Next thing they did was to really put into place a Main Street program. But this Main Street program is for that middle-sized business. I've heard from some of you, and some of you have these businesses that are $200, $300 million in revenues, 3,000 employees, not just the small business, but you mid-sized businesses there. Where do I fit? I'm not big enough to get the bailout that the airlines did and some of the much larger entities. And I'm too big for PPP. Well, this Main Street program is something that is built for mid-sized businesses. The minimum loan amount is going to be about $500 million. And I think the maximum loan amount is somewhere in the 20, 25 million, if I remember correctly. But for those of you who have these mid-sized businesses, this Main Street program is going to be important for you to understand. A slide that I have that you'll see up is I made a differentiation between PPP, Main Street program, and what's called the Primary Market Corporate Credit Facility. And again, for much larger companies that are out there. So that as you hear these terms bannered about, you'll know where you fit in all of this or where your company fits as well. So another element of the Fed program that's important for you to note is that they have agreed to provide liquidity to banks, especially this is important for community banks as it relates to doing PPP loans. So these banks can now go to the Federal Reserve, borrow money from them and pledge as collateral the PPP loans, which are 100% guaranteed by the U.S. government, and maintain their liquidity position so that they can continue to do business and serve customers in a broader way other than just the PPP loans. And so this is extremely important to note, especially for our community banks and our smaller banks, and our minority-owned banks fall into this category. And so it's an important thing for them. I told you on April 2nd that the president signed the Paycheck Protection Program, the CARES Act, essentially, on March 27th. And that was important. And in my April 2nd taping, I told you, make sure for those of you who qualify for PPP, nonprofits and small businesses, be ready because the banks will be overwhelmed. Funding ran out in 13 days. On April 24th, President signed the PPP and Healthcare Enhancement Act. And so what that did was that it funded to the tune of another $310 billion, the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. It also expanded the SBA Disaster Relief Program. But very importantly, on the $310 billion, there's a specific set aside, 60 billion for smaller institutions, 30 billion for minority development institutions out there. And so for those who are having trouble with the larger financial institutions that are out there, I would encourage you, even if you've gone through the process and you didn't hear anything initially, or your bank didn't, you didn't hear anything from them just yet as it relates to the application process, reapply. Go through a smaller institution. There was a segment here in North Carolina today, especially put on by the SBA, where they're actually targeting African American communities as well as other traditionally disadvantaged communities to try to make sure that they understand and know that they can apply to this PPP program. Now, there's certain things that you have to make certain of as it relates to your bookkeeping, so that's going to be important. I'm going to do a couple of shout outs, which I don't normally do, but as it relates to this, there's an organization in Columbia, South Carolina called the Minority Business Development Center, run by Diane Sumter. They do a spectacular job in working with minority businesses and making sure that you can get through the process as painless as possible. And I think if you Google them and you're having trouble, you live in the Carolinas, then they're pretty willing to help. Even churches who may not have been able to apply or thought they couldn't apply, they're able to walk you through the process. So they do a wonderful job. Our minority-owned institutions, there's an African-American-owned bank here in North Carolina, M&F. Big shout out to them because they actually helped our church out in its PPP loan process. And so they made it seamless. Similarly, Bank in Columbia, South Carolina, minority-owned institution, Optimus Bank, worked with them. They do a great job of making it very customer friendly. And so they're not the only ones, but they're the ones that I hear a lot about. And so I encourage you to support them, and they support you in this whole effort that we have. On the SBA disaster, there's another $60 billion that was put into that expansion of that program. $50 billion on the loan side, $10 billion on the grant side. I've heard a lot of folks say they got their $10,000 grants pretty immediately from a bridge perspective. So this was a good thing. The next slide you'll see that shows up is just, again, permitted uses for the PPP loans. I want to always reiterate that. It's one thing to qualify, which you can go back and look at what we talked about last time. It's another thing to make sure you understand what you can utilize that money for and qualify for forgiveness. Again, the programs we've talked about today, PPP is the one that has a forgiveness component. Main Street program, no forgiveness component. The other stuff we've talked about, no forgiveness component. SBA disaster relief, no forgiveness component. This PPP is the one that has the forgiveness component if you use the proceeds as prescribed. So now, let me come closer to home here and talk about what's going on in the state of North Carolina. There's a program that's being run by Golden Leaf Foundation, and it's called the North Carolina COVID-19 Rapid Recovery Loan Program. This is for businesses that are in the state of North Carolina. And the loan size is capped at approximately 2 months of current revenue. It's 6 months of no payment, followed by 48 months of principal and interest payments at 5.5%. No prepayment penalties. Any individual with greater than 20% ownership in applying must personally guarantee the loan. And so again, this is a statewide program in the state of North Carolina that if you need lend a debt, then I highly encourage you to look at every opportunity that's out there. And this is one that I think is important. This program was given $15 million initially and programmatically just ran out of money, as you can imagine, very quickly. The governor put in place another $125 million within the last few days. So I encourage you businesses, small business, to apply to this. Go out, look on the website, and you'll see, you can go to Golden Leaf Foundation, and you can see on their website where they talk about this recovery program, because they're the ones that are actually managing the program. And so, who's eligible? You must be a North Carolina small business affected by COVID-19. All 100 counties are eligible. You must have at least one employee, and this could be the self-employed owner, and any startup businesses that began operations before March 23rd, 2020 are available. So again, very important, very good to note. Even closer to home, the city of Charlotte has now a micro business relief fund. Last we spoke, I mentioned to you that the organization LISC, L-I-S-C, was working with Verizon on a grant program. Well, the city of Charlotte decided that it would team up with LISC as well for its grant program. And so this is a grant, not a loan, for micro businesses in this region, in the Charlotte region. And so it's important that you understand the difference between the grant and the loan piece there. And so if you go to the City of Charlotte website, you'll see this, and it is as well as LISC, it's important that you note that, again, qualification will be based upon your financial situation. However, it is a grant. The maximum amount of the grant is $10,000. Whether or not this will be increased, we don't know. I've heard some talk from city officials that if it's increased over $10,000, it has to become more of a forgivable loan type situation where qualification is different. So keep an eye on it. But for those of you who are micro businesses who are in the opportunity areas of Charlotte, and it's called the Opportunity Corridor Map, and you'll see whether or not you qualify. You have to be a micro enterprise. Majority owner of the micro enterprise must be a member of low to moderate income family. It's less than 80% of area median income. Important to note that nonprofits, liquor stores, check cashing agencies, gun shops, pawn shops, and adult entertainment businesses are not eligible for this grant. For those of you who are individuals and you're having trouble paying for your mortgage, what you'll see next is the Housing Partnership and the City of Charlotte have combined for a mortgage assistance program. And this mortgage assistance program is for homeowners who have been affected by COVID-19, and it is actually a grant program as well. Has limited funding, as you would imagine, but the program provides up to 3 months of mortgage payments as a grant to qualified applicants. Approved applicants must attend foreclosure prevention counseling with the Housing Partnership. But again, it's for folks who have a House Charlotte down payment assistance loan or other homeowners with an income of up to 80% of area median income. There's a chart you'll see that I put up that gives you eligibility as it relates to the 80% of median, and so based on number of people in the household. So it's important for you to know that as well. Last thing I'll talk about today is whether or not you have a student in your household. On April 30th, Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos announced that nearly $1.4 billion in additional funding will be directed to minority service institutions, including HBCUs. Secretary DeVos said, by providing additional support to these important institutions, we can help ensure they emerge from the crisis stronger than before. I encourage these institutions, like all others, to use these funds to provide emergency grants to students during this challenging time and to expand remote learning programs and build IT capacity. This is on top of money that has already been announced. HBCU will collect an additional $577 million through these awards. So if you're a small business, medium-sized business, individual with a mortgage, individuals with students, a lot is coming down the stream for you. Next time we'll talk about the rental assistance program that will be implemented by the City of Charlotte. Just like we have a mortgage program, there's going to program that's coming within the next week or two for renters as well. So as we get information, we'll bring it to you as timely as we can. And so thank you. And as always, please reach out for any questions or comments. Have a great one.